Welcome to the first game of the evening. We're on Frost, spawning to the top right hand corner. In red, playing Terran, it's Grizzly. And to the top left, in blue, playing Protoss for team She's Got the Lane, it's Piscolita. So, Grizzly, just starting with a usual supply depot, going to wall off her main entrance in order to keep the pesky adepts kinda out of her base, so that they won't be able to shade in when there's an open gap in the wall. You don't really want to let that happen, so a wall off helps to deny that quite easily. Quite interesting here that both players just happen to scout the right way. Here's actually the high five. Actually, that's quite I've never actually seen that happen. Have a look at that. Both workers actually blocking each other in the middle of the map there due to the AI routing. That was pretty interesting there, and it actually just took a while for them to get to the respective other players' side. So that's actually quite interesting, delaying the scout of both players here. So refinery already in the making for Grizzly, together of course with the first barracks here. So luckily Piscolita now really got the chance to actually get inside the base. Grizzly chasing the probe with actually two SEVs here, a little bit wasteful there. I mean, she really wants to follow it in order to make sure that the probe is not going to plant down some sort of proxy pylon. Some players don't really want to do that because they just see that the SEV is actually losing a lot of mining time by doing so, and you usually want to use like your first Reaper or your first other unit in order to scout the surrounding area. But of course, for players who just happen to have difficulties to find proxy positions anyways, they just tend to follow the probe in order to get the information out a little bit earlier here, so that they have the possibility to scout it a little bit earlier. Of course, your opponent could just send in another probe somewhere where you won't expect it and then build the proxy building, whatever it's going to be. But yeah, still, most of the time following around just helps by a little bit. Piscolita in the meantime just trying to regather a little few shields and then coming back to the SCV, but now finally the Reaper will move in, kill off that probe, and we'll also get some information over here. Quite interesting done by Grizzly as well, just blocking the Nexus down here as long as she could, and the probe actually had to retreat for a little bit. Now finally the units are going to move out. The Adept is probably just not getting that Reaper over here, while finally Piscolita gets the chance to throw down her Nexus, while in the meantime Grizzly's own base is almost even done on the low ground. So she will just have a significant lead economically here. The question is, of course, will she be able to defend the first push that Piscolita is going to send towards her, because her own units have of course been a little bit delayed by the early command center and then even the adding of a reactor to her own barracks, which means the unit production actually starts a little bit later though. And now the first Adept actually arrives, could actually even kill the worker that's trying to get down that bunker, and that is almost exactly what Piscolita was trying to do. Unfortunately not really cancelling her shade there. I think that was not really what she wanted to do. Finally just barely getting the SCV that tried to build the bunker, so Grizzly will just once again have to move another SCV into here in order to get it out. A few SCVs were blocked behind the supply depot. Now they finally can move out. While in the meantime we just have the usual good stuff by Piscolita happening in the main base of the Protoss player. We have the robotics facility. Actually, after a second gateway, which is a bit unusual, most Protoss players after expanding just try to get into the robotics facility and any further tech as soon as possible. But yeah, the robotics facility is actually not really an optional building for Protoss anymore, since Terran is does always have the possibility to go into quick mine play. Mines can burrow. In order to detect burrowed mines, you need detection, you need an observer, and the only building you can get an observer from is the robotics facility. The only other way really being a Stargate and an Oracle that might help you with its spell in order to see the cloaked units for just a short amount of time. But yeah, most of the time it's gonna be a robotics facility. So maybe Grizzly just wants to hop in using that Reaper stare over here in order to get into the main base and do some scouting, but the mothership core is already hovering above this ledge here, so it might even actually be able to get the Reaper before it has the chance to get deeper into the Protoss territory. Well, in the meantime, we have a third base going up for Grizzly. Just good old macro stuff here. Grizzly macroing like crazy at the moment, trying to get her worker count up, actually, although it's not really that high. It's actually only 26 workers to 38, and that's not only due to Chrono Boost. So obviously Grizzly missing a few SCVs here and there. We see it right here. This base not even being fully saturated, SCVs not being produced in the meantime. The same not down here. Don't really know what Grizzly is doing. Actually just putting too many resources into early upgrades and everything. Obviously wants to have some sort of timing push going on, but then of course, why really take that early third base if you don't really macro up that well? So a bit strange here, but in the meantime we also have the Dark Shrine incoming for Piscolita after having planted down the Twilight Council right after the robotics facility. So yeah, possible DT warp-ins for Piscolita. She's actually also working on a warp prism, so probably she's just trying to get inside the main base of Grizzly, warping in some DTs there and unloading them. But Grizzly is already prepared. She has 2 missile turrets in position. She also has a missile turret in both mineral lines, plus army units down here. So I really feel that there's no possibility that Piscolita should be able to unload any DTs inside the main base, especially after this Marine even scouting it out. Unfortunately, I don't really know if... It seems as if Grizzly really was not paying attention to the minimap at all. What the fuck is going on? She's actually saw everything. Now finally loading into the medevac. Does she want... No! It seems as if she's really not... She's really not seen what was going on. I mean, the Marine actually shot at that warp prism over here, but of course it was not attacked itself. So it seems as if Grizzly just didn't realize what was going on. Finally DTs arrive inside the base, get split up, and will now probably just deal the maximum amount of damage they actually can with only a few units around, because most of the units actually went towards the other side of the map and were probably even just killed by these stalkers here. Yes, some stalker, no, only one stalker has a kill, but probably that was just the shot down medevac I unfortunately missed due to the incoming Dark Templar over here. Dark Templar just now moving outside of the vision range of the turret, just gets back into it, kills a few more Marines in the meantime. But of course, since she must obviously have lost both of her medevacs, that was a very critical hit for Grizzly here, since she's just lost so many units and is still getting harassed by that DT over here. So very, very annoying for Grizzly there, and she's back by so much supply already. It's 100 to 35. We have 18 workers to 55 workers of the Protoss, with the Protoss on already 3 bases. Piscolita is already saturating the 3rd base, while Grizzly just has to land her own and even has to try to keep it secure with another turret being produced over here. In the meantime, Piscolita just has the observer around. It's just barely not in vision range of that 3rd base, but of course it's just tracking all the different pathways towards her base, so she will always be able to just have a good look at what's going on and of Grizzly's army movement. Now just moving in with a lot of stalkers and the reinforcement prism. There's only 2 liberators and a group full of Marines plus a bunker down here. So actually there's nothing at the 3rd base as well. These liberators would have to siege and then just move over here, while they could easily get picked off by the stalkers that don't have blink yet, but will have so in just a few seconds. So maybe even Piscolita just waiting for the final push until blink has finally finished, and then she will move on, and I don't really see any chance of Grizzly holding this. I mean, she just has so few ground units. Yes, there are a lot of liberators around, and once they're zones are actually set up, it might just barely be enough, but really I just think that Piscolita will be able to just blink everywhere and kill off the liberators. There's just not enough ground units in order to kill the stalkers. So, I really fear for Grizzly here, although she's finally getting back on track with the 80 supply, but it's already 140. I mean, the army supply is actually not being that far far away of each other, but just have a look at the kind of units that they have. Well, there's at least one Widow Mine out that might actually also help. Well, like I said, I mean, with really good positioning from Grizzly's side and a few micro mistakes by Piscolita, nah, I can't really see it happen, but we'll see what's going to... what is going to happen. So a few more warp-ins, even more zealots here. Do they actually have speed? No, they don't yet. Okay, Widowmine just gets picked off before it can even burrow. Other Widowmine not being burrowed at all, not being burrowed at all. Now we have all the liberation zones here, but like I said, the blink in comes, and there's just not enough army on the ground in order to threaten the Stalkers that can easily take out the Liberators. GG, and Piscolita takes the first game. Newcastlesburg is our second map of this best of 5, spawning to the bottom left-hand corner in red. Playing as Terran, it's Grizzly. And to the bottom right-hand corner in blue, playing Protoss, it's Piscolita, who just managed to take an easy first map for her. Like I said, seems as if Grizzly just was, I don't know, either nervous, unprepared, just played her first game of the evening at that day. I don't really know, but that was a bit strange. Not what we usually suspect her to play, but her game was actually a little bit off. So hopefully she will be able to just step up her game this time around. Piscolita already with the scout. Pretty typical opening here by her. Actually taking a second gas. So that could actually mean that she wants to delay her expansion for a little bit, going into heavy attack early on. Maybe even going into some sort of DT play once more, or maybe because there's such close air distances, she might even want to go into a Stargate and then just put some pressure on her. Maybe even pulling a full Miyako here and doing the Roddy build on this map against Protoss. No, actually it's against Terran as well. So like Miyako did to Sylvanas in their best of 5. So we'll see what the plans of Piscolita might be. Cybernetics Core is the follow-up, no base yet. And in the meantime we have the little fight between Probe and SCV that actually the Probe is going to win later on, unless of course the Reaper comes as a support, because the Probe can actually generate shields while moving around, so regenerating hit points, while the SCV can't without another SCV to repair. So eventually the SCV normally has to retreat, but of course it can just lure the Probe into the arms of this little Reaper here. So maybe the Probe is really unsuspecting. No, but there the Reaper comes, and now the Probe is finally going to die. So this SCV just there for tracking reasons, wanting to know where the pesky Probe is, so that the Reaper will be able to take it out, and then just get in. And here we have the Stargate! So it might be Oracle, which I really think it's going to be, or it just might be the Roddy build. But for the Roddy build, of course, we will need a fleet beacon right afterwards. So let's see if that is going to happen or not. In the meantime, Command Center on the low ground. Grizzly going full Sylvanas here. And the Mothership Core out now. First adept on its way in order to get some scouting information. No second base yet. So Piscolita really wants to get whatever air unit it's going to be out as soon as possible. Okay, there might be the expansion finally. So Reaper just checking for the third first, will then go in and see the late second. And then of course it's going to be really important whether the Reaper is going to get through. Probably not. We have 2 adepts moving around plus the Mothership Core in place as well. So this Reaper should actually have no chance of getting inside the mine base. Actually gets even killed before getting out. So nice little interception here by Grizzly. By Piscolita, who's just producing the Oracle. A little bit of an odd rally point here. You normally don't want to have the Oracle at the main at the natural entrance. You actually want to have it fly across the map right away. So we'll see how everything is going to work out. I mean, we already have the mine rallied towards the factory, towards the refinery over here. So it might actually work out quite well once the Oracle arrives. That it might just barely. I think the Oracle just comes in a little bit too soon. Or maybe it's just going to work out. Well, unfortunately, the mine will not be buried right now. Now it's get burrowed, but yeah, unfortunately for just barely a second too late here with the Widow Mine. So the Oracle can just fly across it. Has to be careful. Might just fly barely into range. But of course, with the mine being the only means of who just barely flies out of the range of the mine. But yeah, with the mine of course being the only means of defense here against this Oracle, of course that was a really devastating blow here, killing 5 workers so easily and also denying the mining time from the natural base at the same time. So now finally Grizzly has to get up another turret, just can pray and cross her fingers that her opponent won't just fly in right at that point when the missile turret gets constructed to pick off that SCV that's actually constructing it, and maybe the others as well. Ooh, unfortunately one mule not mining, just being called down, and has not been mining for almost 20 seconds, even more than 20 seconds. Grizzly not realizing, and this mule income is so crucial for a Terran at that point in time. So at least the missile turret gets done in time, so the Oracle won't be able to deal that much more damage anymore. Piscolita actually even has spent much more money to even construct more Oracles. We now have 3 Oracles on the move. I think if you have about 4, you can actually easily take out a turret if you just focus fire it down. So Grizzly just trying to load up a few units, wants to apply some counter pressure towards her opponent, maybe dropping inside the main base. We have a few pylons set right at the edge of the base, so if the mothership core was around somewhere, she might even be able to take down medevacs that just try to fly in. Okay, Liberator on the construction as well. 3 Oracles just flying around, not really dealing that much damage. So it's still been quite an investment here that's not really actually doing that much at the moment. But yeah, I mean, seeing like this, okay, just tagging the whole army is also another big blow for Grizzly, who obviously opted for some sort of surprise harassment attack, or actually even straight up attack, but she just now can't do it because she knows that their opponent will actually know when she's coming, from which angle she's coming, with how many units she's coming. So that's not really an attack you want to do. And again, Grizzly just being behind so far on supply. It's already banking up some minerals and some gas. Her macro just seems a bit off today. So unfortunately for her, it seems as if she's just had a bad day to play her match. Maybe, well, actually, Piscolita and Grizzly come from the same, or almost the same time zone, so the time zone difference is not that big between those two, because then sometimes between players, yeah, one being tired might be an issue. But like I said before, I mean, everybody knows that feeling. You just have this day where your StarCraft just won't do what you want it to do. And it seems as if this is kind of the day for Grizzly here, I feel. Okay, Liberator over here. Actually, there's no pylon close to the mineral line, so this Liberator could just fly in straight up and actually even, yeah, just deny the almost complete mining from that main base. There's also almost nothing back behind here. We don't even have anti-air. This is so unfortunate. I mean, finally the Liberator sets up. Well, it actually shouldn't set up over here. Well, maybe, yeah, I mean, of course, with the Stargate around, you would actually suspect your opponent to have some anti-air units like Phoenixes or Void Rays out, so that the Liberators would actually get denied. I don't, what's she doing? Why did she not continue her harassment? It just doesn't really make sense. I mean, there was this really nice sweet spot here where she could have just set up the Liberator and tried to deny some mining time over here, but she just retreated. I don't actually see why she did that. So in the meantime, we have the mass adepts going on for Piscolita. Piscolita just moving across the map. She has Oracles. I mean, she actually doesn't have any kind of anti-air. So, unless there's one little Void Ray over here that can just get easily picked off by Marines here. Okay, nice little use there of the Oracle spell, the what's it called, the Stasis Ward right now. So it's trapped. It actually trapped a lot of Marines. So now the Adepts can just move across the map. Didn't really want to use the bridge. Just rather took the long route here in order to get to her opponent's side of the map. So, let's see what's going to happen. But I mean, this push should actually just easily wreck Grizzly. I don't see enough units around here. The Adepts alone, yeah, will just easily take out everything. There's not enough Marines, there's just not enough damage output. That tank just will get immediately killed. We also have the Oracles that can't really be attacked after the Marines finally got killed. So no, there's no way for Grizzly to hold this. No way whatsoever. These Adepts can just easily shade in. This tank might actually help out a little bit because the Adepts can't yet get into the main base. So they will take some hits, but of course not forever. The second base has to be abandoned. At the meantime, Piscolita is already sitting on her own third. I mean, there's a third base up for Grizzly as well, and she even morphs it into an orbital command as we speak. But I can't really see Grizzly holding this for too much longer. She's down to 44 supply, 65 to 18 army supply. Yes, the Liberators will help out eventually, since, like I said before, there's actually no anti-air except for that one little void ray that's just chilling close to the main base of Piscolita. Finally, a warp prism comes in as well, and more Adepts. It's just mass Adepts, more Adepts, and if that doesn't succeed, just build more of them and come back later. But also forcing this base over here to lift, so Grizzly actually only has the mining of now again 2 bases, just sends down a few mules as well. Piscolita just banking up minerals and gas like crazy, trying to get a double-pronged attack up with the help of that warp prism, but Grizzly has just secured everything with a lot of missile turrets, is even throwing down another one so that the warp prism won't just fly above that one, not taking enough damage to take it down and then maybe warp. I don't really think it's necessary, even if it flew closer in this missile turret, and this one would actually hit it as well. But here's the big attack coming right from the front, doesn't even care about the Liberators in the air, just shades through the rest of the zone, kills off a few more units, now just moves up, can just easily kill that supply depot, and then get into the mineral, and then just get into the main base, get into the production line. Grizzly realizes this is it, GG's out, and Piscolita takes the second game 4-2-0. Galactic Process is the third chosen map of this best of 5. Spawning to the top right hand corner in red, playing Terran, is Grizzly. And to the bottom left in blue, spawning as Protoss, it's Piscolita, who just actually has to take one more game to close out the series. Let's see how she wants to do it this time, after harassing her opponent successfully with DTs in the first game, and then building mass Adepts in the second one. We all want to know what she's up to this time around. And it seems as if it's going to be another kind of techie, tricky build here. So maybe another, well, it's probably not going to be some sort of proxy build. We don't actually have one probe out on the map. Both players just actually not scouting each other at all. So it seems as if Piscolita really wants to go for some sort of specialized build where she actually needs all of her probes in order to get the buildings as fast as possible. But of course it's also quite difficult to hide that tech if you don't just put it out on the map somewhere. I mean, your opponent usually will always see what you're up to. But yeah, that's actually quite interesting. Or actually Piscolita, just after the first 2 games, has developed some sort of arrogance here, thinking that it's not really necessary to scout her opponent anymore. So we don't know. So it's either one or the other, or just forgetting to scout, which would be a bit odd. So it feels as if Piscolita, let's just grant her that she wants to get out whatever build she wants to do as quickly as possible. And thus she needs just every probe she can get. Well, there's the Stargate, so it seems as if we're going to see another Oracle harassment build, maybe even the same as in the first game. So Reaper now on the way. We'll just probably confirm what's going on. There should be no way for Piscolita to deny that scouting. I mean, the Adept will be out in just a few seconds as well, the Mothership Core, but by itself, well, maybe just barely she gets it out and will be able to deny it, but the Reaper could actually just get in using the Reaper Stair. And again, the information has to be careful though. I mean, with the Adept around, this might just barely not work out. Ooh, even close to her own Reaper bomb at that time. But yeah, Reaper retreats for now. Well, with the Adept alone, it should be possible for Grizzly to get in for a second scout and actually get the information of what's going on, and it's going to be a Phoenix build. Quite interesting here. here. So maybe even a timing Phoenix push. We will see how many Phoenixes Piscolita is going to build, but she's actually not chrono boosting it yet. So I feel as if it's going to be some sort of long-term Phoenix play rather than some Phoenix harassment here. Otherwise, she usually would want to have a lot of Phoenixes out and then just go harass the mineral line of Grizzly in the meantime while building up the rest of her army. But okay, now she's chrono boosting Phoenixes, so maybe it is going to be some sort of Phoenix harass play and then moving into a Phoenix based or Phoenix supported army that's going to help her against Liberators. I mean, she's seen Grizzly build and going into a lot of Liberators early on in the last 2 games, and if she studied her games, she should already know that this is actually Grizzly's kind of play style, using a lot of Liberators early on in the Protoss matchup. So maybe she's just countering or blind countering her build by just playing her opponent here, thus going into the early Phoenixes. So we can just think of what Piscolita is going through Piscolita's head here. We can't really tell for sure. And unfortunately, she's not in the chat, so we can't even ask her. Yeah, so now we have enough Phoenixes. No, not now. We don't need just 1 more. And then we have the critical amount of 4 Phoenixes, where you can actually just lift up a probe and kill it in just 1 clean sweep. So 1 pickup will just be enough in order to kill the probe, and then you can just go to the next and the next and the next and the next, as long as you have energy. And actually can kill workers quite easily. Actually, it's almost as effective as using an Oracle, but of course you need 4 units instead of just only 1. But of course the Phoenixes might actually even have more worth in the long run. It depends, of course, what your opponent is actually doing afterwards and how she's reacting towards your build. So Reaper's still on the map, so she can actually not cover everything. So so far Piscolita Grizzly actually doesn't know what's going to happen. And here the Phoenixes come. The army is a little bit out of place here. So 1 probe dies, 2nd probe dies. Piscolita now has to be careful not to get her Phoenixes killed. But of course, with the shields on and only a few Marines out, these Phoenixes can just easily fly in, kill off 4 workers, and then just retreat for now, probably just making the big swoop and then just move in from the backside. But that could be critical here. We have a lot of missile turrets in position as well. We also have a Widow Mine in position, so obviously Grizzly was expecting her opponent to just go into an Oracle once more, even though she should have actually not seen what was going on, right? I mean, she wasn't really able to scout the Stargate early on. But yeah, these Phoenixes just ripping apart through a lot of these workers. 6 more have died, so 10 in total already, and unfortunately there's no missile turret right inside that mineral line. So it seems as if Piscolita once more caught Grizzly with her pants down and actually did quite some damage. So it actually triggers Grizzly to just move out and try to deal some counter push. Well, that could actually prove pretty difficult here. I mean, we don't have that many units back at home, but there are a few adepts. We also have 1 pylon for photon overcharge. The Phoenixes can just easily retreat once Piscolita realizes what's up and can almost lift every unit that's here. It can, of course, easily pick down the medevac here. No problem whatsoever. So finally moves in. Oh, Grizzly is there with the tank almost right in the face of Piscolita here. Yeah, photon overcharge gets set up. The medevac just has to get loaded in. Now even stands right in the photon overcharge, just barely manages to get it back. But like I said, once Piscolita realizes what's going on, she will just retreat, kill off the medevac first, can now actually lift every single unit if she wants, just killing them off easily. Grizzly drops to 36 supply, just tries to deal some damage with a Reaper over here. She's only on 2 bases with just 25 workers, while your opponent will easily set up that 3rd nexus in the meantime. 3rd base for Grizzly incoming as well, but she's already so far behind once more, has just lost all of her army. I mean, there's just a lot of missile turrets being dropped or that being planted inside the main base, so there's actually not that many chances for the Phoenixes to deal that much damage. But they can still fly into the natural base because there's only 1, and a few Marines can again just easily pick off a few units here and there once they spawn from the barracks. Yeah, can't lift buildings, unfortunately. That's the only thing that's not going for her. Yeah, but doesn't also want to lose too many Phoenixes here, so she just retreats for now. Okay, another missile turret going down. Well, Grizzly just has to invest so many resources into static D that will just not help her at all once she finally, eventually moves out, but there's actually nothing she can really do. The Liberator, unfortunately, hanging around. The Liberator that's actually supposed to deny mining from that base over here. It actually wouldn't work out very well anyway, since we already have so many Phoenixes. Of course, Piscolita would have to retreat or just pull all of these probes off of her mining, but yeah, then she would just come back with the Phoenixes, kill off that Liberator easily, and then just get back to work. And there's not really much that Grizzly can do. She just doesn't have the amount of units. Even these units wouldn't really work. She couldn't really move them over. There's just so many Phoenixes around. She could, again, just easily lift these units one after another and kill them off. So no problem. And in the meantime, we have Piscolita just tacking on 3 bases, building a few more, building units after units, while Grizzly just desperately tries to get her 3rd up. These Phoenixes will actually just fly in and try to kill that command center. Okay, the only thing she actually has to do is just drop it. Yeah, even the Cyclone not really being a problem. She could just, again, easily fly in, lift it up, and kill it off. So the Cyclone also not very helpful as well. And like I said, I mean, I hate to be that guy once more, but there's really not much that Grizzly can do. Liberators won't work unless, of course, Piscolita really lets her get to a critical mass where the area of effect damage of the air attack is superior to the damage output of the Phoenixes. But this is going to take quite some time, and I feel that Piscolita just won't let her do it that easily. Yeah, again, just flies back, was going to deny that 3rd base once more. That's all the things she actually has to do. Ooh, what was that? That was strange. Okay, now she finally retreats because the Liberator is in place. Okay, good timing here by Grizzly, just sending that out while the Liberator is actually harassing the 3rd base. But yeah, like I said, this is just something she can do for a little bit. Okay, now flies away, but the Phoenixes are faster, are going to kill off that Liberator quite easily. And I actually like that move here by Grizzly. She's realized that she's far behind and has to take some risks, so just goes with the double expand here. Unfortunately, I feel the Phoenixes are just going to scout that one as well, might even lift the constructing SEV, and thus, well, not cancelling, but delaying that base again once more. Okay, army moves out, and here we go. So command center gets delayed. The rest of the army now moves out. Even a stim being thrown in here, unfortunately. So these army units are actually down in the yellow, and we don't actually have a medevac out at all, so no possibility to heal here. So in the meantime, Piscolita just moves in, tries to deal some more damage while setting up a 4th base of her own. Don't know, well, actually just barely. Grizzly does not know about the 4th base, how unfortunate. Now she does. Should actually just retreat and try to kill it off, but there's so much army here. It's again just adepts like crazy, like almost 2 full tables of adepts here, just walking through the liberation zone, don't even care. Liberator gets killed off by these Phoenixes. Yeah, and this Bioforce is just too tiny. GG, and Piscolita takes the 3rd game for a convincing 3-0.